Money just money doesn't just talk in Washington. It testifies. And if you follow the sound long enough, it leads you to the real nerve center of power. The PACs, the power brokers who fund both sides while pretending to pick one. Arctic Frost started as a subpoena tracker. By part 3, that you've already seen, we saw the lawyers fall. And now we're going to open the vault. Today, we reveal how political committees became targets, how donors were mapped, and how Washington learned to weaponize generosity itself. This is Arctic Frost Exposed, Part 4, PACs and the Power Brokers. The tracker's final wave hit between November 10th and December 1st of 2022. The subpoenas no longer mentioned individuals, they listed entities, the organizational bloodstream of the conservative movement. Save America PAC, Trump Make America Great Again Committee, Conservative Partnership Institute, Women for America First, Turning Point Action, America Made Media Consultants. Each demand reads like a financial autopsy. Provide donor records, internal communications, contracts, and all banking activity related to legal or political expenditures. That phrase, I always tell you, listen to what they say. That phrase, legal or political, is key. It erases the line between defending and campaigning, turning every dollar into evidence. What began as oversight turned into a hunt for influence. The message was unmistakable. Funding the wrong cause makes you the suspect. Because here's the deal. Every single campaign runs on two invisible wires: data and donations. Shut down either one, the candidate flatlines. By hitting the PACs, the investigators hit both. They could track digital ad payments through the AMMC to Facebook and Google accounts. They could trace donor metadata back to zip codes, occupations, even employer IDs. That means Arctic Frost wasn't just building a case, it was building a map, a geopolitical heat map of conservative money flowing down to the street level. Just imagine the temptation that creates for any future administration. This report is powered by 7 Weeks Coffee, bold flavor with pro-life mission. Every bag supports pregnancy care centers across America. Good beans, good cause, great people. So visit 7weekscoffee.com and order today, because every cup can defend life. And when you get there, you can use our discount code, FightBackMedia. So inside the tracker, the Save America PAC has more entries than any other entry. Multiple banks, multiple states, repeated requests for amended records. The Arctic Frost team wanted to know who paid for legal defense, media buys, and staff salaries after the January 6th in bureaucratic English that reads like oversight. In plain English, it means control. So once the government knows how a movement pays its bills, it owns leverage over the future. The former Treasury official finally admitted later that the goal was to ensure compliance with campaign finance law. The translation is this: if we don't like how you spend it, we will freeze it. For the big donors, Arctic Frost was a perfect deterrent. Imagine writing a $100,000 check to Save America only to get a letter from your bank asking you why. Within weeks, accounts were, quote, under review. Some donors saw wire transfers delayed. Can you imagine? Others lost merchant services entirely. No court, no conviction, just risk management. A new term for political profiling. And that chill spread fast. Non-Trump committees noticed it too. Heritage groups, policy think tanks, even veterans, charities that shared donor bases found their transactions flagged. The subpoena state doesn't care about party labels, it cares about control. Money that can move without permission is a threat to every institution that feeds on compliance. That's why Arctic Frost hits PACs first and then super PACs later. You soften the edges before you swing for the center. And behind closed doors, some community banks push back. Chain Bank, the Change Bridge Bank, the National Capital Bank filed limited objections, arguing that the request violated client confidentiality. You know what happened, right? They lost. But their resistance matters because it proved one thing: compliance is not mandatory until you decide to surrender. Most institutions won't fight because fighting costs millions, but a few did. And that's why we still know that these documents exist, because someone pushed back. This program today is also brought to you by our friends at Mammoth Marketplace, your patriotic alternative to Amazon. American goods, American values with zero corporate censorship. Shop free at mammothmarketplace.com because freedom should still be for sale somewhere. Okay. The tracker also lists Conservative Partnerships Institute, CPI, the post-administration hub for staff training and policy development. Its connection to Mark Meadows and Cleta Mitchell was enough to trigger subpoenas for donor records and vendor contracts. The Arctic Frost narrative called it a network mapping exercise. Translation: they wanted to know who's building the next generation of conservative infrastructures so they could cut off the supply line before it grew, kill it before it grows. That's not law enforcement. That's preemptive politics. So for weeks after those subpoenas dropped, legacy outlets ran stories about dark money groups without a single verified charge. CNN calls CPI a shadow government. The Washington Post referred to Save America as a slush fund. When reporters were asked for evidence, they cited, well, you guessed it, the Arctic Frost tracker. Remember, we said that, just the accusation was enough. The investigation was enough. A leak creates a story, and the story justifies the leak. It's a perfect circle of self-validation. It's a circle, all right. Notice who didn't get subpoenaed. Left-leaning PACs like Priorities USA, Act Blue, the Lincoln Project operated unbothered. They used the same banks, the same consultants, and sometimes even the same law firms. No raids, no audits, no hearings. That's how you know that the law is not blind. It's selective. Lobbyists started hearing whispers that if they wanted federal contracts or committee access, they should keep their distance from Arctic Frost related entities. Now, that threat was never written, it was just understood. That's how DC works, influence by implication. Nobody orders the censor, they just nod and let the fear do its work. When the same fear reaches donors, movements go quiet, not because they were defeated, but because they were defunded. I want to give a quick thank you to the folks who keep us standing, our subscribers at Patreon/Morning Report. Every pledge keeps truth independent and the lights on here in the studio. If you're watching on YouTube or Rumble, tap the link in the description to join the team. We answer to you, not the algorithm. That's patreon.com/morning report. All right, to cover their tracks, officials rebranded the entire PAC inquiry as a, quote, donor transparency initiative. Well, except for the other groups like Act Blue and Lincoln Project. That sounds noble enough until you ask why it only applies to one side. Transparency isn't virtue when it's selective. It's voyeurism with a press badge. And in this Arctic Frost era, the goal wasn't to see where money went. It was to make people afraid to move it at all. And all you have to do is look close, and you will see a pattern emerging beyond politics. Social credit scores, ESG ratings for investors, and we've talked about that on our program. Disinformation policies for banks. It's the same logic. Compliance is currency. You don't need to ban beliefs when you can just debank them. Arctic Frost was the beta test for that model. I'm going to tell you something. Worked. But here's what they didn't expect. They didn't expect resilience. Grassroots PACs started migrating to credit unions, cryptocurrency, and state chartered banks. Some formed co-ops to pool legal defense funds off the federal radar. It's messy, but it's movement. The same system that tried to choke off conservatism accidentally taught it how to survive without permission. That, my friends, is the American instinct. Adapt or die. And we are not dead yet. Okay. Expect the next election cycle to unveil, quote, reform bills promising to modernize PAC transparency. Translation, they want to codify Arctic Frost precedent. Once it's law, future movements won't need investigation. They'll self-police to stay alive. And that's the goal, and that's always been the goal. Obedience disguised as ethics. But history isn't written by the obedient. It's written by the stubborn. Because every dollar in Washington carries a passport. It travels through lawyers, banks, consultants, and PACs. And each stop is a checkpoint for control. Arctic Frost showed how easy it is to turn the whole donor list into a suspect list. But it also proved that light still burns through the red tape if someone has the nerve to strike the match. And that is what we do here. We keep the match lit. This was Arctic Frost Exposed, Part 4, PAX and Power Brokers. Please find the other Arctic Frost pieces that we've done. I think it's going to be really eye-opening to you. And there's one more to do, Part 5, our final part called The Biggest Picture. We'll connect every thread of this operation and show you how it reshaped American politics for a generation. My name is Willie Lawson. This is One Report. So until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We will see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.